Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to those of you here watching it this very early morning. As you can hear, I'm kind of losing my voice. Let me set a timer. Welcome. Good afternoon, good evening to those who are watching this a little later. We are on week 11. Week 11, that means there are 5 more left. 5 more trainings left. You're almost there. You're doing it. You did it. I'm so proud of you. And I mean that. You showing up every week to something that somebody just made up and sent you a link to, it means a lot to me, but it also means a lot to you in your creative process, right? You are proving to yourself that you can follow through. You're proving to yourself that you can follow through, and that is very important. So kudos to you. Clap, clap, clap. As I mentioned last class or the class before that, these last 7 classes are more tangible ways to continue in your art practice. So today we're going to be talking about planning, right? Wah, wah. We're going to be talking about the boring stuff. Maybe not so boring, right? It usually feels boring to have to plan, right? For me as an artist, because I just want to do the thing, right? But I find that a lot of times I cannot do the thing if I don't plan it out. If I don't at least have a little bit of a plan, right? Even if I don't have a plan as to where I can create this thing, right? A plan doesn't have to be large. A plan doesn't have to be like this 200-point plan where you plan every step of your creative process. It's just something that you can put together so that you don't have to think about later while you're creating, right? If I plan out where I can create, where my studio is going to be, I don't have to think about it when it's time to create, right? You know, if you find a studio for yourself, and that could be your living room. My studio is literally my living room, and I have other options, but I plan for my living room to be my studio because that works for me. That's the plan that works for me. I just checked if I was recording. I was like, oh my God, have I been recording? Me waking up on Mondays and doing this, whether it happens on time or not, is the plan. That way I don't have to think about when am I going to record? What platform am I going to use? Zoom. It's already the plan. I'm going to use Zoom on Mondays at 7:30. And that way I have a lot more space to think about creating the thing. So what's the plan? What is the plan that you have for yourself? Do you have a plan? And if you don't, do you need a plan? Right? I feel like if you're in creative flow, right? If you're in some if you're in this space where you're just creating all the time, you have a paper and notebook with you all the time, and you can just write down your ideas, and we're going to talk about ideas in a little bit. But if you're in this state of flow, me personally, that is the plan, to be in flow, right? If I can, you know, if I'm in a space where I'm creating and things are just flowing naturally, that is a plan to me, right? So it doesn't have to be so structured. But the plan has to be that you're in flow, right? If you're not in flow, then make a plan for you to be in flow. A plan can be A plan doesn't have to be, right, like I said, finding a studio. A plan can be, hey, I'm actually gonna read a little bit this month. This month I'm gonna read a little bit because I want to be inspired a little more. I want a little more inspiration. Let's say the plan is you're gonna read this month, right? If you're in flow and you can just pick up the book every day this month, then cool. But if you're not, I would suggest, you know, planning out maybe 15 minutes a day or 15 minutes every other day, right? Or maybe my plan is I'm going to read while I'm eating breakfast, or I'm going to read on Friday nights before I go out. You know, whatever plan works for you, it has to be what works for you. Don't bind yourself to something that you think has to be, right? If you think you have to read, if you have to, I'm gonna I'm gonna wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and I'm gonna read 10 minutes. If that sucks to you, if that sucks to you, don't make that your plan. You're you are now as a creator, you're the one that can create your schedule. You're the one that can create your creative process. Do not make it hell for yourself, okay? Do not make it hell for yourself. Figure out something that works. Figure out something that it doesn't have to be super, super easy, but like, you know, if you want to challenge yourself, go for it. But don't make it hell for yourself. All right. How do you stick to your plan? You know, how do you stick to your plan, right? Sometimes not sticking to your plan is natural and what needs to happen, right? Sometimes you need to know when to pivot, when that's not going to work. But I say if a little time goes by and you still want to do that thing that you wanted to do 2 months ago that you didn't plan, make a plan for it. Make a plan for it, right? Because more times than not, it's not that you have to change that idea. Are you following me? I think I might have skipped something there, but stick with me. If you're still thinking about this idea and it hasn't manifested, you haven't created it yet, chances are you need a plan for it, right? Now, if there's an idea that came and passed and maybe 2 months go by and you're no longer thinking about that plan as much or thinking about that creative idea as much, then maybe that was your sign to pivot, right? You don't have to stick with every idea that you have. All right, some ideas come and go, and that's just how it is, right? Some ideas sound like good ideas until it's like, oh, nah, I don't want to do that anymore. And that's okay, right? Don't bind yourself to things just because you have to do them. This being a creative is really comes down to a process of breaking away from all the ways that other people told you to create, right? Breaking away from the way that they told you to create in school, right? And I know maybe you didn't create much in school, but you know, things like homework assignments and things like failing grades, right? You got to break away from those things because it's not going to be fun for you. It's not. Okay, that mode, that method of training is to train you to be a certain person, a certain worker, right? Because when you get out into the working field, you have to go. You can't say, well, I had an idea that I'm not gonna go today. You know, no, you better find somebody to fill your shift, or you better go, right? Or there are gonna be some type of consequence, right? Maybe you'll get written up, or maybe, you know, maybe you'll get fired. But when it comes to your creative process, that doesn't exist, okay? You're your own boss right now, right? And so you want to make sure that you're a good boss to yourself, right? Don't make it stressful, you know, because at the end of the day, it was all up to you, right? And this is whether or not you're in a collective, in a residency, whether you have a manager, all of that still comes down to you and your preferences as a creator, okay? You're not a slave. You have a say in how you want to create. Speaking of residency, um, I'm wondering if you all know about any residencies out right now in the Atlanta area for artists, for creators. That's a little side note. If you do, let me know. I thought I bumped into a residency yesterday. My boo took me to the High Museum and we were walking around, but it was actually SCAD's campus. It wasn't a residency. But if you find a residency, if you don't know what a residency is, it's just the program that allows artists to create on their um, in their studio spaces, right? It's like a few months, you create, and then there's like a show at the end. It's really cute, a residency. I've never been in a residency. I am treating my move to Atlanta as a residency altogether, but I've never been in a residency. Um, yeah, if you know about that, holla at me. But back to plans and not making it hell for yourself, right? Know when to pivot, okay? And know that nothing that you make the first time will be it. Nothing that you create the first time will be it, right? Make it fun for yourself because you're going to keep doing this again and again and again, all right? Make the process fun for yourself. Every Monday morning, I'm going to have to keep waking up and showing up to this art piece, right? But I'm making it fun for myself by putting myself in this part of my building complex, dressing up in my militia gear, you know, and being somewhere where nobody can hear me. That's my plan, and I stick to it, and it's fun for me and it works for me, right? It was important that nobody can hear me because I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about, and I feel judged, right? That's my personal thing, right? That's what works for me. Some people like to create around other people because they need that they need to socialize about it. They want to hear other people's inputs about it, right? That might work for you, but make sure uh, that you actually make it work for you. It's important that you make it work for you. It needs to work for you. All right. A lot of times when we start to create, right, uh, we'll be like, oh, I need better tools, or I need better this to start. I need better that to start. There's nothing that you need to start other than yourself, right? If you're writing something new, if you're creating something new, if you're painting something new, if you are building something new, start right now with what you have. It will morph on its own, it will grow, right? But you have to birth it. You have to birth it first. It can't just stay an idea, right? Because ideas pile up and then you feel like you have to do them all and then that becomes hell, right? Remember, we're not making this process hell for ourselves, okay? We're not making this process hell for ourselves. Rather than, letting ideas pile up and then feeling like they're chores, start the idea when you have it. When you think of the idea, start it right then and there. Open your notes on your phone, label it. Label it. This, but name the project. Even if the name is going to change later on, name the project, birth it, all right? Write down the idea, all right? And don't neglect that note, okay? Because then you have and I'm guilty. I have a notepad full of ideas, right? That I don't always go back to. Maybe this might be the sign to that you need to go back to an idea that you had. But when you have an idea, don't just have the idea and then pile up the ideas and then you feel like they're chores. It's gonna stress you out. Write down the idea, birth it, name it already, and maybe write yourself a little summary of the idea. Right? Even something as small as that, like let's say I'm making lip gloss. Let's say I want to make lip gloss, right? I'm going to write it down in my notes. I'm gonna write B's lip balm, right? BBLs, B's bombs for lip. I don't know, right? Let's call it BBL, right? And then I can write a summary in my notepad. This is a lip balm that will give you the same confidence as a BBL. You know, these days people are more and more concerned with the way they look because of the internet. And for a low price and less pain, you can get B's BBL lip balm. You know, I just made that up on the fly. You write it in your notes and then go back to it, right? If you still feel that way, keep adding to that note, right? And you'll see that you'll make it. It'll just make itself, right? The more you talk about that note with yourself, or if you're a more social person. See, I'm a reflector in human design. I need space by myself. That's just how I am, right? I may look fun and extroverted. I am fun. And I can be extroverted, right? But what I need for myself is to create by myself, right? I do socialize about my creativity, right? Like I am right now. But as you can see, I'm also by myself, and you get this recording, you know, at some time later in the day, or whatnot, right? Whatever the case. Talk about the idea with yourself or with other people. If you're a more social person, be honest about that. Be honest about that, or else it's going to be hell. Remember, let's not make it hell, okay? Be honest about that. If you're a more social person and you need to bounce ideas with other people, be honest about that. Start with one person that creates in your field, right? And you know, somebody that you trust, obviously, because people can be weird. Um, and or it could be somebody who doesn't even create, right? Sometimes I bounce ideas off with friends that don't create, right? And that's fine, because me as a reflector, once I hear myself speaking about it out loud to somebody else, I get feedback, right? I get my own feedback. um Anyways, start your projects. Don't let your ideas pile up. It's going to be hell for you. You don't want it to be hell for you, all right? When we were kids, or fucking when we were kids, it might not have been joyous. But when you see other kids, right? When you see another kid that can't do something, that can't walk, let's say you see a child, a baby that can't walk, you're not going to say, God damn, that baby can't do shit. You're not going to say that. You're going to say that baby's going to learn to walk eventually, and they have time because they're a baby. I need you to apply that same mindset to yourself, okay? I need you to be like, that's okay. I didn't do it this one time, but I have time. I'm a baby, okay? You need to extend that same grace to yourself, and that's really important, because you're going to be doing this over and over again. And imagine telling a baby, and like I said, we ain't talking about our own childhoods because they might have been fucked. I know from from my experience. But you looking at another baby, right? You're not like, damn, that baby can't do shit because it can't walk yet. No, you're giving it grace, right? You're like, it's okay to that baby. That baby will learn how to walk one day, and it's okay. Please, please, please extend yourself that grace. It's okay to you. You will walk one day. You will run, right? And if you want to run marathons, you will run marathons one day. It's okay that you cannot walk yet, all right? The last thing that I want to leave you with, actually, I want to leave you with that, right? You're still that person. You're still that baby. And even if other people did not give you the permission to be great for whatever bullshit they were going through, right? Because it's bullshit for somebody to not let a baby be great. Um, Triggered. For whatever reason, you know, that was their thing, right? Your thing right now is to give yourself permission to be great, and that's all you need, all right? I'll see y'all next week. We got some new people who joined. Congratulations. I did open this back up for the last 7 weeks. So we got some new emails. Welcome, welcome. Other folks have heard this, but if you're new here, and you would like to tell me what you feel, what you think about this basic training, please write to me. Send me a voice note. Send me a text. It's even if it's just one letter. Let me know how you feel. Let me know how you liked it, and I'll see you next week. Peace.